Hey learners, hope you all are doing well. In the previous session, we discussed basic elementary things like what do you mean by identifier naming rules, keywords, different keywords provided by Python, statement, comments, and different types of comment. Next, we are going to discuss what do you mean by data type. Data type indicates the type of value which will be stored in a variable. Data type also indicate the amount of memory which will be reserved for a variable. It also indicates the legal range of that variable. So, as I stated, the data type of a variable represents the type of value which is stored in that variable. Now, the languages are either static type or dynamic type. Like C, C++, Java, they are static type, meaning before using any variable, we have to declare that variable. We cannot use the variable without its declaration. And when you declare it at that time, you indicate its data type. And once the variable is declared with particular data type, in its entire lifespan, it will be of the same type. And some languages are dynamically typed. Python is an example. So Python is an example of dynamic type language. Dynamic type means you don't have to declare variable before its use. You directly start using the variable. And whatever value is stored in the variable, that is its data type. So once a variable is assigned 10, it becomes integer. And after some time, if you assign to the same variable a string, the data type of the variable is changed. In Python, so we don't need to specify the data type of any variable because Python is a dynamically typed language. On the basis of value, what is stored in the variable, that will become its data type. Now, if you want to know what is the data type of a variable, you can use one function type. So to the type, when you pass any value, it will return its data type. As an example, suppose if I have created x equal to 10 and now I'm printing print type of x. It is displaying class int. Suppose x is equal to double quote Ram. And now again I'm writing print type x. It is displaying class str. Now you can see that whenever we are printing the type of a variable, it is indicating class and the name of the class. This also indicates that Python is true object-oriented language. Everything in Python is ultimately converted into some class. This proves it is a true object-oriented language. It is a pure object-oriented language. Everything is ultimately a class. And every variable is an object of some class. Now to continue with, there is one more function which Python has supported, that is instance. Now to instance, you pass two arguments, one a variable and second its type. It will just check whether the variable is of that data type. If the variable is of that type, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. As an illustration, see x equal to 5, print type of x, it is printing class int. And as I said, instance, two arguments we pass, one a variable and second class name. If that variable is of that type, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. For example, I've created one variable a equal to 1 plus 2j. Now according to Python, it is a complex type. Now I'm trying to check whether 1 plus 2j is of type complex. If it is, it will return true, otherwise false. Now one by one, we'll discuss all the elementary types which are provided by Python. Then we are going to see all the other extra data types which are provided by Python, like list, tuple, dictionary, all that things also. Now to start with, first we'll take int data type. Int indicates numeric value but whole numbers. So all the values which are numeric but whole numbers, those which don't have decimal, come under category integer. Many other languages are having many subcategories in int, like Java is having in integer category only byte, short, int, long. But according to Python, all whole numbers are int, which is actually equivalent to long of other language. So this data type is used to represent whole numbers, also called integral value. In Python, there is no long data type. Int is only equivalent to long. Now, integer can be represented in different forms like decimal, octal, hexadecimal, and even in form of binary, which is supported in Java after Java version 5. So what are these different representations? That also we'll see. And all these representations can be preceded by a sign, that is plus or minus. So int can be represented in different forms like decimal, octal, hexadecimal, binary form. Here I have written x equal to 5, and then we are trying to print the type of x, which is class int. And I already stated all the types are indicated class and the class name. This proves Python is pure object oriented. Every value is ultimately converted into a object, an object of some class. Now, before continuing with the next data type, I'll show you how to represent these values in different forms. Okay. So before continuing with the next data type, as I said, we will see different ways in which you can represent these values. For example, suppose I have written x equal to 101, means any value which is combination of 0 to 9, but without preceding with 0 is treated as decimal. So as 101 is not preceding with 0 and it is combination of 0 to 9, so it is decimal. Now, any value which is preceded by 0, O and combination of 0 to 7 will be called as octal. So now 101 is coming in 0 to 7 combination, but as it is preceded with 0, it is called as octal. Now, any value which is preceded with 0x and combination of 0 to 9 and A to F will be treated as hexadecimal. So I'm writing 101. 101 is also in the combination of 0 to 9 and A to F, but it is preceded with 0x. Therefore, it is considered as hexadecimal. And any value which is preceded with 0b and combination of 0 and 1 is considered as binary. Now, if you try to convert it, this is decimal 101. This is octal 101, but it is equivalent to 65. 8 power 0, 8 power 1, 8 power 2. So if you try to convert it in 8 power, it comes out to be 65. This is 16 power value. This comes out to be 257. And this is binary 101, which is 5. When you add this all values, you'll see the result. Suppose I write print and x. So it is 101 plus 65 plus 257 plus 5, which is 428. Let's move on to the next data type, that is float. Float is also coming under numeric data type, but it will have a decimal part. Means that is, it's not a whole values. It will also have a recurring value after a decimal. Now, float is also not having any subcategory. You can say it is equivalent to double of any other language. Like Java is having float as well as double. Here there is only double. We can use float data type to store floating values or decimal values. We can also assign value in exponential form, that is Mentesa exponent form, using either lowercase or uppercase. So any value which is before e is treated as Mentesa, and the value which is after e is called as exponent. The value which is after e is considered as 10 power that value. Now, as you can see, f equal to 1.3250. I have not used any normalized form. That is not in this Mentesa exponent form. This is called as fixed notation. The type of f will be class float. And suppose I write 1.2 E3. So this is same as 1.2 into 10 to the power 3. So this is coming out to be 1200. Now I'm printing both the things, print f1 comma type of f1. So what is value of f1? 1200.0, and type of f1 is class float. Next we'll move on to data type complex. Complex is a inbuilt data type. The complex data type is used to represent complex values. Complex values are having two parts, that is real part and the imaginary part. It is represented as a plus bj. This data type represents complex value. Complex values comprises of real and imaginary part. Now how to represent complex value? It's very simple, just you have to write a plus bj. A will get stored in a real part and b in imaginary part. Now always remember, this is also converted into an object, and it is object of class complex, and that object will internally have two data members. One will be real and one will be imaginary. We'll see how to access them. And on complex you can perform all arithmetic operations, means all the operators are already overloaded on this data type. Now if I print type C, it will display class complex. We can also perform all the operations like addition and subtraction. We'll be seeing it when we'll come to the operators, that to arithmetic operator, and that time we'll see how we can perform arithmetic operation on complex. We don't have to do extra work. Already the operators are overloaded on complex type. Example, c is equal to 5 plus cj, d equal to 6 plus 5j. And if I write c plus d, so when you do addition, real part is added, imaginary part. So it will be 11 plus 11j. Similarly, when I subtract, the real part, imaginary part will get subtracted. You get answer minus 5, minus 6. You can even multiply. But when you multiply, the real part is real into real minus imaginary into imaginary. That will give you new real part. And when you do cross multiplication and their addition, that will give new imaginary part. So we get 61j. Why? Because see, 5 into 6, 30, and 6 into 5, 30. 30 minus 30, 0. And when you do cross multiplication, so it is 25 plus 36, which is 61. Now, as I said, these values are internally converted into object, and these two values get stored in two data members, that is imaginary part and the real part. And you can access those values by saying c.real and c.image. This proves that this all values are ultimately object, and that object is having these two properties, that is real and imaginary. Just an illustration, x equal to 5 plus 6j. Sorry, I have written 6 plus, I'll write 5 plus 6j. And if we try to print x, it will display that complex value. Print type of x, it will display the data type that is complex. And if we try to access its two parts, x dot imag and x dot real. So it is displaying the real part and the imaginary part. Let's move on to the next data type, that is Boolean. Boolean data type is used to represent truth values, that is true and false. Obviously, it will be used wherever falsity is to be checked, like in if statement or in a while, where we want to check the condition. There are only two legal values for Boolean, that is true and false. And note that the true and false, T and F, is capital. So this data type represent Boolean values. Only allowed Boolean values are true and false. Internally, true is 1 and false is 0. Therefore, you can perform any arithmetic operation also on Boolean. Like true plus true will give 2. True minus true will give 0. You can multiply true into false, which is legal. But those who are familiar with Java, which is a very strict type language, there such operations are not supported. Example, I have given b equal to true and I'm trying to check type of b. It is displaying class Boolean. B equal to true, C equal to false. I'm checking whether B is greater than C. Such Boolean comparisons are actually not supported in many other languages. But here it is allowed because internally B, which is true, is 1. C, which is false, 0. 1 greater than 0 is true. Therefore, you get the result true. True plus true is also legal, as I already stated. True minus false is also legal. Then the last data type in the elementary data type category, which we'll see, that is string. String is any sequence of characters which are enclosed in a pair of single quote or double quote. So this data type represents string values. And I said a string is a sequence of characters that are enclosed within a single quote or a double quote. A single character can also be treated as string, whereas in other language, when you write any single character, that is treated as char. But here there is no subcategory called char. Everything is string. So I have written s equal to double quote ram. It is of data type str. S1 equal to single quote ram. This is also a string. Now in Python, if you write any string in triple quote, so you already know in the previous lecture discussion, it is treated as a comment. But if you assign it to some variable, instead of comment, it will become a string. See, I've written a triple quote string. If I would have not assigned it, it is treated as a comment, but I have assigned to S2, therefore it is a string. Now string supports many different functions. There will be a separate topic on string and methods of string. There will be discussing how to access characters of string, how the slicing is to be performed, and there are abundant number of library functions provided to do operation on string. Like I want to convert it to uppercase, lowercase. I want to convert into title case, or I want to search some part in the string. So all this will be discussing when we'll be seeing the topic string and methods of string. That's all for today. As always, keep learning, keep evolving, and don't forget to click on the bell icon. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. God bless. See you in the next video.